to Libya. The Libyan Coast Guard is now committed, thanks to EU support, EU finance, equipment and training. They are committed to clamping down on the people smuggling, and they want all of those who attempt to cross to be returned to Libya. Why didn't you return them to Libya?
Well, it would be breaking the Geneva Convention about the non-refoulement, because we know that these people are suffering human rights abuses in Libya, also in the detention centers. This could be kidnapping, torture, forced labor.
But the EU are partners of the Libyan Coast Guard.
Yeah.
Libya is working with the EU. Are you saying that you, not for 1 second, would trust the Libyans to look after the basic human needs of these people?
Not for 1 second. We have a lot of experience with them, and these human rights abuses are well documented by the EU as well. They know exactly what they are doing and who they are financing. The Libyan Coast Guard has evolved from various warlords which have just taken control of the boats, which existed 2015, 2016. They're now financed, but they're also complicit, and that is known, in many human rights abuses. And there have been cases where the Coast Guard disturbed our rescues, leading to the death of people in the rescue scene.
Now, as we've established, even in the course of this conversation, you were very well aware of the legal and political context in Italy, but nonetheless you decided to take the Sea Watch toward southern Italy, towards Sicily, and you ultimately spent days and days floating around, I guess beginning a dialogue with the Italians, or at least asking them for permission to land, enter Italian territorial waters and land your passengers. Now, what did the Italians say to you?
Well, the Italians said they were not responsible for this rescue case because it had been carried out in the Libyan Zar zone.
Which
is true, which means the Libyans have to coordinate it. However, Libya doesn't have any port of safety, and that also has been stated clearly by the EU Commission. So we would be breaking the law, bringing people to Libya. So when we requested Italy after 2 days, there was a German city, medium-sized city, which offered to take all the people and even send a bus to Sicily to pick them up. But unfortunately, both the Interior Ministry of Germany and of Italy didn't want to agree on this solution.
But the law is the law, passed by a democratic government in Italy, and you were well aware of the law. That is, it's illegal for a rescue vessel such as yours to enter Italian territorial waters, and still more illegal to attempt to land at an Italian port. And yet, in the end, you did that. Why?
Well, two laws are in conflict with each other here. It's the maritime law, which says that you have a duty to rescue, and your rescue is completed when you bring people to a port of safety. And then you have the national law in this case, which prohibits the entry. So we were waiting in order not to break the law. We were hoping for a political solution, such as offered by this German city, so that the people could be disembarked outside the territorial waters, and that would have prevented the whole scenario which followed.
And while you were waiting, I just wonder what condition the passengers, the migrants on your ship were in, and how much pressure did you feel to do something to get them off the ship?
Well, the situation was worsening every day, particularly the psychological situation. So nearly all these people have been in different types of prison camps or have suffered from human rights abuses, as already mentioned. Some suffered from post-traumatic stress disorders. Some suffered from torture wounds which hadn't been treated properly because they didn't have access to health care. And the pure worry of not knowing where your future leads you and what will happen led to the fact that people were severely disturbed, and the doctors in the end, my medical team in the end, said that we couldn't guarantee the safety of the people anymore.
You must have, obviously you and your team, spoken to them at some length over the course of what was in effect of roughly 2 weeks of this journey. So you heard some of their stories. Where were they from? And did you form an opinion as to whether these were largely economic migrants or people seeking asylum because they were fleeing conflict and persecution?
They came from various sub-Sahara countries, most of them. And I think it's very interesting to think about why these people migrate. And I think it largely has to do as well with the environmental breakdown, which we are like really, if they can. But the socioeconomic conditions are so difficult in many countries that people have no choice other than to go somewhere else.
That's your judgment. That doesn't necessarily match what in international law constitutes refugee status, but we'll get back to that in a minute. I just want to finish the amazing story of June, because after not getting permission to land in Italy, you in the end took the law into your own hands. You piloted your vessel into the Sicilian port against the wishes of the authorities. You slammed into what appears to have been some sort of police boat, squeezing it, according to the Italian